football playoff. Um, so I'll say this. I am not an Ohio State fan. I'm not a fan of any college football team. I am a guy that just likes to enjoy big college football games late in the season.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm kind of a displaced Ohio State fan.
yeah,
My fiance went there, so I've obviously, been more accustomed, and I'm surrounded by Ohio State fans with all the Cleveland fans.
yeah.
That loss was, I don't know, man. I mean, it's tough, right? Like,
I mean, how shocking though. I mean, you would think, and I always defended Michigan when they had Harbaugh. I defended Harbaugh for years at Michigan. He finally got a quarterback, and look what happened. That Michigan team was depleted. I don't care if it's rivalry week or not. That was embarrassing.
absolutely. And you just gotta hope that that's the kind of thing that happens that takes you and turns your program around for the rest of the year. Because if not, it's like what does Ohio State do after this, right? They've been
Yeah.
in it. They've been in it every year, it feels like, but Ryan Day just has not been able to get his team over that hump from great to perfect.
No, and that is the one weird thing about college football, though. It's like, you lose one game a year, everybody wants you fired.
Right. But
I
it's not it, but for him it's been every ranked game that
Yeah,
he played in, that
this
he's
year
coached.
especially, and to me it's because they don't have a quarterback. I've never been a Will Howard fan. Um, I'll say this though, I think it'd be funny if Ohio State does go to the national championship. It's a close game, and Day still does get fired.
Right.
I mean, what do you expect? I don't know what to make of the program, but I don't know what to make of this new college football playoff. Um, I was so excited, Andy, at the SEC and Big Ten expansion. I think it's great for the sport. I think college football needs big games. I think they need more of an Alabama, Georgia in early September. I think we need more big games rather than teams playing cupcakes the way Ohio State started this year with Akron and whoever else they played the first month of the season. But I'm looking at this now, and I'm looking at conference championship weekend. I'm looking at this 12-team playoff. It's a mess. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. The committee rankings really don't matter anymore.
So is the playoff agnostic of the championship weekend? Is the playoff set yet, or do they
No,
take?
so the playoff's going to be set Sunday morning at the time of this recording. It will already be out by the time this podcast goes up. But so they're
But
going to
does
play. They're
you know
going to
just
play the conference game Saturday, and then if you win your conference, if you're a top four seed in your conference, you get a bye.
okay? But are so like all of the other pro sports awards, right? Don't take playoff performances into say MVP voting or
Correct.
so in this case the playoff is going to be partially determined by essentially postseason play, right? Because that's what championship week is. It's postseason play for college football. So
Yeah,
that will impact
and
it.
the weird thing is, yeah, the weird thing is like Miami is going to be punished potentially for losing in the ACC championship game and being left out over Alabama that has three losses, and Miami would be in right now because they only have two, but they're
Right.
playing an extra game and they're going to get punished for it. So
Right.
I don't understand it. I didn't think 12-team expansion was a good idea to begin with. I'm the only person in the country, and I understand why you guys all wanted expansion, but I thought they should have kept it at four, to be honest with you. I think that if you expand it any more, the more you expand it, the more it dilutes the regular season. You could push me up to six, but to me, I feel like six would have been the max. I don't want to go any more than that.
I definitely think an expansion was needed, right? Every year you got into these heated debates of which undefeated team should get bounced from the playoff because either Ohio State or Alabama or Georgia or whoever deserves a spot over an undefeated team, right? That we've gone through that ring around the rosy now forever. But you're right, it is opening up another door into Well, now you got to fill 12 spots, and there's definitely more than 12 deserving teams because Alabama did not show any substance the entire season.
They was to Vanderbilt,
Vanderbilt,
Tennessee, Oklahoma, who's not good this year by any means, and they're gonna get in as a three-loss team.
and that's purely based on legacy,
Yeah.
right? It's because Alabama has been so good for so long.
And by the
And
way, they could very well, who knows? They could. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're talented enough. But Jalen Milroe gets on a heater. They could win the national championship if they get in.
right, but that is what makes this whole format so electric. I mean,
Well,
who doesn't want to see SMU come in and upset the Georgia Bulldogs in the playoffs?
yeah, but I mean, come with some of these schools like UNLV, like Boise State. No disrespect to Boise State. I don't think they're a top 12 team in the country. They probably would get boat raced by one of these top four seeds.
Well, their season has been propelled heavily by Mr. Ashton Genty, who's had an unbelievable heater of a season and will 100% get robbed of the Heisman Trophy over snap count boy. But I think I don't know, man. I might disagree with you here. I think opening it up to 12 teams just makes it more fun for the players. And I think it makes it more fun for the fans. I mean, you as someone who is so deep into all world of sports, right? You know, and you watch sports like your life depends on it. Someone who's more of a casual fan, they're definitely thrilled by this new 12 team format because they're not paying attention to the nitty gritty week in and week out, right? And I think it's a good thing for college football. I think it's a better thing maybe than NIL even because the NIL, we've only seen the effects of it
Oh,
for like a year or two now, but I mean,
so I think that's came into effect more this year too, because now the bottom, I mean, even Vanderbilt and Georgia, State has players now.
right,
I mean, because they're just taking, they're taking Georgia and Alabama's fourth best receiver, and it becomes their number one receiver,
right.
obviously. Um, but I don't know. I just think the transfer portal, NIL, the college, it feels like I think it would be better maybe if it felt more organized. It just feels like chaos. It feels like there's no governing body, there's no commissioner, there's nobody in charge, and these schools are just doing whatever the hell they want.
Right. I think you're very right there. It does feel a little bit chaotic. There is no rhyme or rhythm to any of this, right? It's, hey, if you're a big name school, go get 6 or 7 cheese wins by paying a team $5 million to play you. And then, they go out, they get those wins, and then you have the competitive games, but then there is a lot of fabrication, I think, that goes on in college football. Um, I mean, if we're going, purely black and white on the expansion of the playoffs, I like it. As a more casual college football fan, I like it.
See, and I'm more of a casual college fan, and I guess maybe you're more casual than I am. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know. It feels like they're forcing teams to play more games just to play more games. And I still don't believe that all 12 of these teams have a realistic shot, to win a game. And I don't like the fact that basically, you're almost better off because they don't reseed in this tournament. The 5 seed is going to face the 8 or 9 seed, and, the 1 seed could play the 4 seed in the second round. It feels unfair.
Yeah, but hey, we watch March Madness every year and love it.
See, but that to me is the problem because college football feels like it's turning into a mini March Madness.
Is that a bad thing, you think?
I think it is because I think March Madness has actually became more watchable the last couple years because we don't have as many stars in college basketball. Because I think college basketball is a freaking mess right now. I think it's why the NBA draft is a mess
Yeah.
because we get these one and dones and we have the overseas players and Adam Silver has not embraced college basketball. He's embracing the G League and France and all these other places. So March Madness feels more even. This just feels like NIL and football to me feels like, oh, what, it's NFL free agency on crack.
Yeah, I get it. It's tough. I
I
mean,
mean, it's basically how much can we pay you? It's a salary cap without a salary cap.
yeah, there is no cap. It's
Yeah.
it's whoever has the richest, alumni.
And here's the other thing too, and I'm not saying, oh, these guys are old school and this is why, but there is a reason to me why Saban, Coach K, and Wright, the guy at Villanova, all three of them in the last recent years have left the sport abruptly.
Right. Yeah, I see that. I understand that. I mean, Nick Saban, a guy who dedicated his life to football, particularly college football. I know he had some time in the pros, but it's definitely a big change for him. He probably got wind and was like, I do not want to deal with figuring out how I'm going to divvy up
Yeah.
my donors' money, you
And
know.
and by the way, this is the other thing I don't like. And again, I was somewhat in favor of paying players. I did not think it'd make it to this level. Um, but I don't like the fact that basically now it's turned into you as a college football coach to me are recruiting your own players to stay rather than going on and getting new players.
Right.
And
Right.
the other thing with it too is it is now, in my opinion, because of the recruiting cycle and everything, it's a 365-day job. And I feel like coaching pro football or pro basketball is easier than coaching college. How many college guys have we seen go to the pros the last few years?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Y-
the thing about the NFL is it's an even playing field
Yeah.
essentially, right? I mean,
I mean,
more,
everybody's looking at Ryan Day. If he gets canned from Ohio State, does he go back to the NFL as a coordinator? It's very possible.
yeah. The being a college football coach certainly is not an easy job,
I mean,
especially now with NIL because you have to manage
I mean,
so many things.
Chip Kelly was at UCLA. He went backwards to Ohio State. I get it's a higher up job, but he went from head coach to OC. He basically said it so I can have a life back.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying Chip, obviously, the game plan against Michigan was terrible, and I have history with Chip Kelly, obviously, as an Eagles fan. I'm like, I sympathize with him, man. Like, I don't know. I don't like the direction of college sports right now. I get it from your end. Yes, it creates more chaos, but I don't even know what the hell's going on. I don't know how this seating works. I don't know who's good. Like, it just feels like a crapshoot, and it really should not feel like a crapshoot to me.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to think about it. The NFL has 30 teams. Is it
32.
32 teams? Well, I really should have known that, but
But doesn't it even like, and I hate to say this, maybe if you're a Giants fan right now, maybe you have no hope. But at least like in Carolina, they're like, okay, we have a quarterback. Like the NFL to me is the ultimate sport of hope.
right.
You could talk yourself into going into an offseason if you're a Giants fan, you can talk yourself into, okay, if we get a quarterback and we get a coach, we can win 10 games next year. And I'm not even kidding.
Brandon, I'm a Browns fan. I talked myself into winning seasons for the last 25
That's what
years
I'm saying.
and
You
have been
can because
rewarded
the
with like
NFL is the
three of
sport of
them.
hope. I mean, look at the area you're in. I'm gonna go to a basketball team because I've always said this about the Washington Wizards.
Awful.
They're a basketball team that's literally there. I don't know what their identity is. They're a franchise in the NBA from Washington D.C. and I don't know what they are.
Dude, I couldn't tell you if I'm being honest with you.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Like in the NBA, we know there's bottom feeders. In baseball, where my brother's at out in Colorado, the Rockies, complete disaster. Bottom feeders. In football, you're like, even the Panthers got some players. Like you can talk yourself into one. I mean, How?
I mean, look at the Commanders.
Yeah,
They went out and got Jaden Daniels and a
no
couple of
kidding.
80-year-olds.
I mean, how many times in fantasy football do we go, wow, Chuba Hubbard, he's on a terrible team, but you know what? Look what he's doing for my fantasy team. Or Jerry Judy went from a guy who couldn't separate in Denver, and all of a sudden he's now Jameis Winston's #1 target.
Dude, Jerry Judy is on a burner.
So we're getting completely off topic here at the end of it, but I do think it relates back to what the hell's going on in college football. Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.